In my name, a vast array of things will come up from world history to 9/11, and these will say like parent class on them. Parent class on Hitler's rise to power. Just scroll through or type it down, and there's all kinds of bizarre stuff on here. So anyway, some of it good, some of it not, if you read some of the comments. Sorry, I made somebody mad, so anyway, that's all right. So,
now I'm just going to go to read the comments.
yes, yeah, I'm like, I really, apparently I misenunciated a Chinese emperor's name, and this guy just went rogued out on me. And my bad, brother, I'm sorry. Whoops. So anyway. So tonight we're going to cover, as usual, a lot of ground. Now, everybody knows who Adolf Hitler was, but how did he get to be this guy? I always tell my students he's like a biblically evil human being that we shouldn't even know. He should be some little guy who died in a coal mine or a ditch somewhere, unmissed and unmourned by the world. So how does he come to represent like the embodiment of evil? So to do that, we have to go way back in time to the end of, well, actually 100 years ago, to the end of World War I. World War I will end on November 11th at 11 a.m. The war ends. The armistice is signed. The German Prime Minister, a guy named Ludwig, whose little brother was one of the big heavyweight generals of World War I, wants to sign this armistice. He wants to conclude peace before Germany is wrecked. The king, Kaiser Wilhelm, King William II, will abdicate the throne, and Germany becomes a republic. They're given over to the Social Democratic Party. And a republic is where people are going to be elected, hearkening back to ancient Rome. And the key word here is armistice. Armistice is a ceasefire. There's no winner, there's no loser. We are just going to stop fighting. That's it. Nobody won, nobody lost. Here it is. That happens at 11 a.m. on November the 11th. Key thing to remember, not a single foreign soldier set their foot inside of Germany. Territorial boundaries of Germany, no foreign soldier got in. Not a Russian, not an American, not a Brit, not a Frenchman. Nobody gets in. So if you looked around Germany, their villages and glockenspiels are intact, their livestock are grazing, their fields are fine. There's just not a whole lot of young men around. Or if you look at Belgium and eastern France, it's just blown up and completely and totally destroyed. So visibly, Germany is fine, and that is very key coming up here. No foreign soldier sets his foot from Napoleon's withdrawal in 1812 to American Sergeant Alexander Drebeck, March 23rd, 1945, as the next time a foreign soldier puts his foot inside Germany. So it's very, very, 150 years. So when it's over, Germany is going to be parceled out. Part of Eastern Germany is created to make a new country of Poland and Czechoslovakia. These are two modern republics, democratic republics, created to box Germany in between France and England on one side and two other powerful neighbors to the east. Geographically, we want Germany to feel a squeeze play. They scared the living snot out of all of Europe. So now we want to box them in. As badly as the French were torn up, they're always a little bit afraid of Germany. They lost badly in the Franco-Prussian War. World War I devastated them. So man, we do not want Germany getting back up off the mat and coming after us again. So, the Germans, especially Ludwig, was told, you guys are going to get a mild peace settlement. It's Europe. We've been fighting like this for like eons. This is not that big of a deal. But what nobody knows is there's been some secret behind the scenes deals between England and France that are going to make the Germans feel betrayed. Europe is financially ruined. Since Columbus got lost in 1492, you know, with the transatlantic trade, the gold and silver and lumber and cotton being pulled out of the Americas, Europe has been the creditor of the world. I mean, the world turned on a Western European axis. And now, they're broke. If you're familiar with the Percy Jackson novels, it's the Percy Jackson effect, right? The Greek gods left Greece, they went to Rome, and now they're going to move across the Atlantic above New York City. England's done, Europe's done. Western Europe, the creditor of the world, is now a debtor to the new little kid across the Atlantic known as the United States. The old aristocratic monarchical order is gone. Romanov dynasty in Russia, gone. The 600-year-old Austrian Habsburg Empire, gone. The monarchy in Germany, gone. French, you know, Napoleon, you know, the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, gone. The Ottoman Empire of Turkey, 600-year-olds, is gone. It's all destroyed. What do we do now? We've only known a monarch or some type of aristocratic rule. What exactly is going on? And the big problem comes in with the Treaty of Versailles. Probably the worst peace document ever penned. It's 5 separate treaties. The big problem comes in partitioning Germany and the reparations payments. The reparations is what is going to undo everything and make World War II possible. Now, in between this time, President Woodrow Wilson has this great utopian idea of a League of Nations where we're all going to get together if we have a problem, and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to be conciliatory, and we're going to use our words, and we're going to negotiate because, man, Napoleon did some crazy stuff, and now we got this World War thing. Every 100 years we blow everything up. We just can't do this again. So he comes over, and he's drawn in the London Times as a conquering Caesar. Right? He's got his toga on and his, laurels on his head, and he's stepping off a boat, coming to bring utopian peace to Europe. And they get to Versailles. It's an interesting collection of guys that are there. David Lloyd George from England is there. Prime Minister Clemenceau from France is there. Victor Ocum Emmanuel from Italy is there. Right. Woodrow Wilson is there. Some guy from Japan, Prince Konye, the Emperor's little brother, he's there. We got a Japanese guy sitting there. All right. Where's Japan? Well, it's over that way. You sure it's not that way? I'm pretty sure it's over there. So we got Japan, we got the United States, we got England, we have France. What we do not have is Germany or Russia. Neither one are invited to the peace conference in Versailles. You can't leave out the Soviet Union and Germany from this process. But the good old boy network of Western Europe does. So, also not invited are many diplomats from smaller European countries, especially places like Bosnia and Serbia and even Belgium. King Albert is not invited. This is an exclusive club for the so-called victors of World War I. The big problem is what to do with Germany. A unified Germany is barely 50 years old, right? 1870s, the great Sith or Jedi, depending on your perspective, Otto von Bismarck whips up some stuff and Germany is a unified country. Here it is. Poland and Czechoslovakia are created to squeeze Germany in, and man, it's just really uncomfortable. And the big problem is, there's this thing called the International Disarmament Conference, where Germany is forbidden to have a military. A small national guard is all you get. 2, Germany will be stripped of many of its mineral resources, its iron ore, its coal. They will be stripped or separated from their production facilities. This is going to come back to haunt us in a minute. So imagine if West Virginia, Western Pennsylvania, and Kentucky had a barrier between them and like Pittsburgh, Youngstown, and Cleveland to make steel. and then the steel had a barrier put between it and the Great Lakes in Cleveland or Detroit or Philadelphia. So even if, coal and iron ore is mined, iron and steel is made, you could not ship it anywhere. All right, there were strict barriers put in to make sure Germany never develops an economy that can have any resemblance to build anything to do with a military. And 30 miles into Germany is called a demilitarized zone, where no one is allowed to enter unless you're American or British. They will keep the French and the Germans separate. So Germany loses all of this territory. And they're like, what the sauerkraut is going on? This is not food. Like, you can't do this to us. And you didn't even ask. And the problem, Germany had agreed to pay reparations payments. Damages done by the war to the civilian population of eastern France and Belgium. Just to the civilians. Military stuff, it's called a war. That stuff happens. So then they asked, well, how much is this going to be? Oh, well, we're thinking ballpark $15 to $25 billion. What? Did you say billion with a B? Yeah, we're not sure. Somewhere around 15 to 25 billion. Tell you what, why don't you pay us $5 billion a year until 1921, and then we'll tell you how much more you owe us. Now, $1 billion is a lot right now. If you figure it out, going back to 1918, 15 to 25 billion, it's over $200 trillion right now, all right? There is absolutely no way Germany can pay this back. And then, while the British are, boy, oh boy, got their fish and chips, and the French are, we have finally fixed them, yes we did, all right. They're all patting themselves on the back. The United States walks over and says, fellas, let's see, here is your bill, and France, here is yours. Now, what is this? Well, this is the Lend-Lease bill, you guys. What, we? Oh, no, we cannot pay this much. Well, you're going to have to, because this is what you borrowed and what we lent you. So, boys, it's time. But we have no money. What are we going to do? Francs or no, but cricket bats and that's a lot of tea. They don't know what to do. So the British say, bully old chap, let's just take our bill we owe the Americans and attach it to what the Germans already owe us. We'll just pass our bill, and no one likes them anyway, it's their fault, so make them pay it. So their Lend-Lease bill is given to Germany. And again, no definite sum was fixed. $5 billion until 1921, then we'll tell you how much more you owe, and we'll give you 30 years to pay it off like a mortgage. And the Germans are like, Glockenspielen, Wiederhosen, Oktoberfest, it's all coming up. I don't know, all right, try to make it a little entertaining, all right. What are we going to do? And France says, no, it's not good, it's not tough enough, we must do more. And they're like, what more do you want us to do? And when the treaty is published, it gets just ripped to shreds in England. The leading economist of the day, a guy named John Maynard Keynes, writes The Economic Consequences of Peace. And he says, what you guys are doing to Germany is worse than the Romans salting the land outside of Carthage. All right, when that was done, Carthage could never come back. But this is such a horrible document that you not only have made another war improbable, you've made it a definite, realistic possibility. When John Maynard Keynes says this, the British are like, oh, bully old chap. They wash their hands, and they, like, you know what, we're going to go back to our little group of islands, and they bail. When they do that, American looks around and says, if the Brits are gone, let's go home. To make it worse, President Wilson, who is hailed as a conquering Caesar, is drawn as a court jester with a big butt up in the air, and the butt was the outline of the United States, and Europe was a boot kicking him out. Now, if we want to satirize our presidents, we can. All right, we're Americans. All right, Saturday Night Live wants to go crazy, and Howard Baldwin wants to have a good time. Awesome. We can make fun of our presence because we're American. But the Europeans? Look, we were only over there because you guys started a fight that nobody could finish. You can't make fun of our president because we're over here. So you know what? We're out. We're done. So, fish and chips that and drive on the right side of the road already over there. All right. Yeah, little squiggly line alligator things. Nobody knows what that is. Right, left turn, whatever. Jeez, a whiz. So, we come home and become isolationists. Babe Ruth's hitting home runs. Jack Dempsey's boxing champion. We're doing the Charleston. We're doing the Lindy Hop. Great Gatsby is on East Egg or West Egg or some egg, you know, having a good time. And we're having a good time. It's the 20s, man. We just want a war. Let's focus on ourselves. And America is growing. It is American industry and American money and American labor that is rebuilding war-torn Western Europe. So we're like, you know what? Next time you guys have a problem, don't call us because we don't care. All right, we got two big oceans on either side. Just, you know, that's it. More problems are about to rear their head, though. Number one is breaking up of Austria and Hungary. Allies with Germany. Here's where raw materials, iron ore, bauxite, coal, are separated from the smelting plants and the production facilities. The factories that are manufacturing the one thing Germany could sell, steel, are separated from their shipping ports. So if Germany is expected to pay back $15 billion at a minimum of loans, how are they going to do that? The one export they have, they can't make and or sell. So what do if you're Germany? Germany simply can't pay its bills. They have no way in which to do this. And a lot of Germans are separated in these new countries, in Czechoslovakia and in Poland, where they are living in a minority position, and they want to be part of Germany, the country that they were taken from. And so peace in Europe is going to rest on Germany admitting to a defeat that they did not feel. We didn't lose. No foreign soldier put his foot on our land. So how are you all of a sudden saying that we lost? If you want to keep going, let's go. I mean, we don't have any guys, but we're ready to go anyway. All right, let's just do this. And the biggest problem was leaving out the largest Central European power, Germany, and the largest Eastern European power, the Soviet Union, from being at the peace process. It makes the whole thing, you didn't ask me to sign it, you forced me to. All right, it was a document that I was presented, that I had no say-so in. And so, this is bad enough. And then the Depression hits. And as bad as it was here in the United States, it is even worse in Western Europe and for a time in Japan. France is determined to make Germany pay. Germany will either pay its way into impotence, or they will fail to pay, and then Germany can be militarily invaded. Problem is, who's going to militarily invade Germany? The British have went back home. We're over dancing at Charleston, and the French are, oh, it looks like it is us once again. All right, so that's about my best French accent. All right, so, and the quest to collect on these debts, to make sure this money gets paid, is going to bring about World War II. 1923, we don't even get too far after the war, and France declares Germany default on its loans. And there were a lot of French guys who came home who had no jobs. And in the Saar River Valley, there were German coal miners. They were still digging coal out of the ground, and they were selling it, using it for heat and for selling it, the one thing they could sell. And the French come in and say, we're taking over. So the German workers just sit down and have a sit-in. Well, the French military is called in, and with bayonets, they throw German families and workers out of their houses and their jobs, and they're given to the French. And now all of a sudden, these homeless, unemployed Germans, when you're unemployed in the country, where do you go and look for work? You go to the city. So they start going to the western sector, the industrial corridor, of Germany, Cologne, Dusseldorf, you know, Munich down in the south, Hamburg, looking for work. So, this is going to come into play with our man Adolf Hitler here in a second. When this happens, there is a world record low on wheat prices. All agricultural products, but especially wheat. When the farmers bring it in to harvest and they sell it, they don't get enough money to pay off the loans of seed and fertilizer. They can't pay their mortgage. There's so much of it, none of it moves, and all of a sudden these poor rural German farmers and French farmers are now out of work. European farmers are completely broke, and prices, as things get more scarce, begin to skyrocket. Nobody can afford anything. So the German government is going to do what governments do all the time, because they never had a good world history teacher. Well, gee, if our people need money, what's the easiest way to get them money? Let's just crank up the printing press, all right, and print off a bunch and hand it to them. That'll solve the problem, or make it worse, which is what happens all the time. So when this happens, a bunch of young men who were soldiers, who were told that they lost this war, that they didn't, that can't find a job, start listening to any voice that's not telling them how their problems are going to be solved, but who to blame it on. And the loudest voice was a group known as the National Socialist Workers' Party, who the world will come to know as the Nazis. One of these young men, hearing this, is a creepy little guy with a horrible mustache and an even worse comb-over, known as Adolf Hitler. Right? Now, to be honest, the Great Depression in Germany wasn't total. Right? Their economy wasn't completely ruined. They had a prime minister, a guy named Gustav Stressman, who was a charmer, and he'd worked tirelessly to bring Germany back into the Western European fraternity. And he was making great progress, all right, until the mid-1920s, when he all of a sudden resigns. He says, I can do more as a foreign ambassador, traveling to the United States and France and England and Belgium, than I can here at home. He's the one guy that might have been able to prevent a lot of this, but when he removes himself to go be an ambassador, a little political vacuum opens up. And the problem is, the governments from, England to France to the United States to Germany, they were not suited in structure or an ideology to handle the problems. We needed far-sighted Jedi leaders who could see into the future. This action is going to have a reciprocal effect 10 years down the line. They needed to communicate. They needed to act unified, in which everybody goes their own separate ways. Nobody had ever faced a problem as severe as the Great Depression, except maybe some rinky-dinky emperor in the late Roman Empire. By then it was all too late. It was an irrevocable decline, and there's nothing that you could do. So when we think of the Great Depression, a lot of us think of the Dorothea Lange photographs, this, mom out here in the great Oklahoma Dust Bowl. She's got her daughter and her son leaning on her shoulder, and she's got that look like, oh my God, what am I? It's either firm or resolved, we're going to get through this, or, oh man, I have no answers. I'm the mom, I'm trying to take care of my kids, and what am I supposed to do? It was really bad here. But in Germany, it's kind of worse. Here is one of the bread lines. You see thousands of people lined up, but a few guys in nice clothes just bebopping down the street while most of the peasant masses are starving. Here is one of the young unemployed soldiers, a coal miner kicked out of the Star River Valley, leaning against a wall, crying, oh my God, where am I going to eat? Where am I going to go? What is going on? This young lady can't heat her house in the winter, so she's got her German marks that the government keeps printing. She's throwing them into a fireplace to stay warm. So I'm not trying to remove the Germans from blame, just kind of setting the tone here. So how does this guy turn into this guy here? And here you see these are entire wicker clothes baskets filled up with cash to buy a couple apples, or a wheelbarrow load full of bread or money to buy one coarse loaf of black bread. Germany is in bad shape. Nobody knows what to do. And here is this little World War I corporal. Adolf Hitler was a runner. He was a guy that ran messages, and he was in the Somme and winds up near Dunkirk in Belgium and Belgian-French border. And his platoon was sent to take out 3 British machine guns. Now, we don't know what happened, but nobody in his platoon makes it back alive except Adolf Hitler. And he was shot 3 times in the left leg. I like to believe all of his buddies went forward to do the fighting, and he hid behind a stump and his leg was sticking out and he got shot. All right? But the machine gun nests are taken out. Hitler hobbles up and says, "Look at me, ha ha, yes it was me, Otto Bonnen, you know, Charlemagne, Aachen, I did this, I am the man." And he is awarded the Iron Cross second class, right? He gets a medal for heroism in valor, like the Silver Star, the equivalent here in the United States. And he is a bona fide, in his mind, war hero. Did he help take out the machine gun nest? I don't know. Maybe, but I like to think no. That's just only my personal mind, right? He's not doing any of that, all right? Now you take a look at these. I'm going to shut out the lights all the way. You look at these. What's your impression of these little paintings? I'm not, you know, my artistic flair is very diminished. It's not bad, right? It's not bad. It's realistic. You know, we got, you know, some stairs, some nice trees. All right, some little courtyard, a little fountain. Right here we got, you know, nice dog, a little pencil sketch. All right. We got some little mountains, a little waterfall there. Not bad. All right. What about these?
River of blood.
River of blood. Kind of, is that sunset? Is that blood? What's this little like creature? All right. So these are kind of terrible, right? But these ones, whoops, these ones aren't so bad until you find out they're Hitler's. All right, they're terrible. These things are trash. Like what? Why man brought those? I don't even know. My man, Adolf Hitler, so my man, wanted to be an artist. And as a young boy, he's born in Austria. His mother is Jewish, and his dad dies of the flu when he's very young. He has an unfortunate accident with a mule when he's 8 or 9, so all the kids made fun of him in gym class. He's got some problems. And he grows up kind of, you know, his stepdad is kind of a drunk and, you know, works him over a few times. I mean, it's Hitler, so whatever. So anyhow. And when he's a young man, 17, 18, he leaves. And he flees. He tried 3 times to get into the Royal Academy of Art, the Austrian Royal Academy of Art, and he fails 3 times. He can paint still lifes great. He can do pencil sketches. His architecture was great. The one thing he couldn't do was draw a human being. And so psychologists say that's because Hitler, even at a young age, never saw human beings as human. Like Leanne says, a little river of blood, is that like a fall foliage scene? Like, I don't know. If someone would have just let the man into art school, who knows how the world is different. All right? But he can't get in. So he leaves and he goes to Munich, Germany, which he will call his home. And bizarrely, he hangs out with a bunch of Jewish guys. And they talk theology and religion. And Hitler draws little like picturesque postcards that his roommates sell to the tourists in Munich. You know, we got that, you know, the snow-capped hills here, we have this, we have that. And when they can't make money by selling art, they do a little bit of, you know, breaking and entering. They're like minor burglars. And they get arrested. And World War I has broken out. And they find out that Hitler has skipped out of his draft notice in Austria. And they're like, Hitler, you're wanted by the Austrian authorities, man. We're sending your butt back, you know, Edelweiss, nothing. All right, you're going home to get in their army. He's like, whoa. If I have to fight, why send me to fight with the Austrians? The German army, You guys are the good stuff, all right? Sauerkraut and mashed potatoes, noodle stritzel, all right, this is what I'm going to do, all right? So why don't I just fight for you guys? And they're like, oh, well, all right. So Corporal Adolf Hitler is a runner. And he's got his Iron Cross second class. And in 1923, he's wandering around trying to find a job, trying to find something to do. And he shows up in Munich during a speech, a political rally given by the mayor of Munich, by a guy by the name of Max von Luger, member of the famous firearms manufacturer. And Mayor von Luger is giving this speech. He wants to get reelected. He says, you know who is to blame for our problems? Why Germany is poor, why you're all starving. It's the dirty, stinking French. All right, run around over there with some creme brulee, some baguettes, some crepes, all right? We don't even know. S'il vous plaît, served on a plate. Yes, that's what I said. All right, for God's sake, it's the French. Their fault. They did this to us. We got to get back at them. They're still mad from the Franco-Prussian War. And it's not only the French, but it's the Jews, all right? They're behind this too. Now, in Germany, the one population that could survive the Depression was the Jewish community. Jewish community was close, tight-knit, and they were professionals, all right? They were printers, they were doctors, they were dentists. They did jobs that everybody needed. No matter how poor you are, if your child is sick, you're going to take them to a doctor. So they were able to ride out the Depression, which makes them a target. It's the French, it's the Jews, and by God, they're responsible, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to go get them, and we're going to get them all. Not telling you how. Not telling you what we're going to do next, but who is to blame for it. And when you're angry and you're bitter, you're going to listen to the loudest voice, and we're just going to let loose on them, and this is what we are going to do. And when Hitler hears this, it's like a stream, an epiphany, right to the heart of his conscience. Yeah, is it good? Yeah. And it hits him. This is it. He just soaks in Mayor Max von Luger's message. And while Max von Luger is saying it, it's the same time the French military kicks the coal miners out of the Saar River Valley. And he's like, see, I told you, there is proof. It is the fault of the French. Yeah. And so Hitler is in. And he joins the Nazi Party, which promotes ultranationalism. Be proud of what's German. Be proud of Hansel and Gretel and Grimm's fairy tales. The Autobahn, Volkswagen, Lederhosen, Oktoberfest beer, whatever it is, be proud of it. All right? This is our stuff. We don't need anybody else. And Hitler's like, yes. And he was mad. He walked around. Look, I have an Iron Cross second class. You got to give me a job. I'm a war hero. I got an Iron Cross second class. Well, so did thousands of other guys. But Hitler thought because he was a hero and decorated, he should have a job. And now when he hears Max von Luger speak, man, he's in. And the Nazis have this 25-point program. This is what we're going to do, all right? We're going to get rid of the International Disarmament Conference. We are going to rebuild our army. Key thing with the Treaty of Versailles, it was enforced in the West, but nobody paid attention to what was going on in the East. Germany couldn't put any technology into weapons of war, but they had a neighbor, even more broke than they were, known as the Soviet Union. Hey guys, we'll give you some good information if you build some of these tank plans we got over here in Eastern Russia or Western Russia and see if they actually work. So Germany's been kind of slyly rearming on the side, but it's happening in Mother Russia where nobody's going to go and check them out. Hitler hears this and he loves it, every bit of the 25-point program. And he joins and he's in. And he and the Nazis find out that their appeal was to the lower middle class and the impoverished, the angriest, poorest people. It's also at the time the largest segment of the population in Germany. So we're going to go right at them. These are guys just like Hitler, and we're going to just gobble them up, give them a big bear hug, and make them our own. And so Hitler gets a job, and he finds out that he has one really good skill, and he was a great motivational speaker and a recruiter. He would go into small towns and he knew when to whisper and get real quiet, and when to Lederhosen, Oktoberfesten, Autobahnen, when to scream and yell and shake and get pumped up. Wear my Lederhosen, my Tyrolean hat. That might be Austria, but same thing. All right. So, just kidding. All right. He knows when to do it, when to get jazzed and energetic, and when to get quiet and soft. And when he's around, just hundreds of guys sign up. He is a rock star in the Nazi party, and he's so good. Old General Ludendorff, former Prime Minister's brother. Hey, Adolf, you know me? Oh my God, General Ludendorff, sir. Yes, Corporal Hitler here, sir. You know what, man, you're really good. People listen to you. Look, we got to get rid of this little democratic government, the Weimar Republic. They're sellouts. They're punks. They're patsies. They're giving in to the French and the British. You need to lead a coup. Well, why me? Well, you're so charismatic and so pumped up, people are going to listen to you. Yeah, you're right. Go ahead and take care of it. I'm sure a ton of people will follow. Yeah. Good. So during Oktoberfest, honest to God, it's Oktoberfest. All right. All the good Germans are in there, I ate with their beer steins, having a good time, singing songs. Hitler rolls into Munich, goes into a beer hall, climbs up on a table, fires a pistol in the air, bang, bang, ah, coup, revolution, let's get rid of the Weimar Republic. And like, who the heck is this crazy man? Get him off the table. And the cops come in, what's going on? A crazy man shooting a gun, I don't know, made me spill my beer, and it's all over my pretzel, I'm really mad right now. Get the heck rid of this guy. So Hitler is cuffed and stuffed, and he's arrested. He's taken to the paddy wagon, and they're going back, all right, they're having a good time. And Hitler now is going to go to prison, but he's got to go on trial. The government has got to make an example out of somebody. We can't have this guy running around. And Hitler says, I was set up. I was patsy. But I'm going to use my trial to make myself a national name in Germany. And they put him on trial. Did you lead the beer hall putsch? Yep. Why? Well, the government's a bunch of patsies, they're punks, they're selling out. Well, what do you want to do? What I want to do, do you really know what I want to do? What I want to do is, I want to refute the Treaty of Versailles. I think the government has punked out. I want to rearm and rebuild the German army. I want to get back our German citizens in Czechoslovakia and in Poland. And I really want to get rid of the French and the Jews. He takes the Nazi 25-point program and claims it all as his. And this is broadcasted on German national radio. These are all his ideas. And they're like, okay, Adolf, you're going into the clink for 5 years. He's sentenced to 5 years in prison. While there, he writes a disturbingly fascinating, whatever, weird, strange book called Mein Kampf, My Struggle. It's his struggles and how he is representative of Germany. He's a microcosm of Germany's struggles. And while in power, I'm going to wreck some of the young minds in here right now if you don't know this already, he gets the idea that true power cannot be seized. Any thug can lead a coup and seize power. You are truly powerful when the people come and beg you to save them, to remain in power. Augustus Caesar did this. So you're only truly powerful when you're like, oh no, I don't think I can do it. No, please, we're begging you. Well, gee, shucks. Okay. So this is played out in the great, well, some of them are great, the Star Wars movies. Those 3 garbage new ones, who is the real evil Sith Lord? Jar Jar Binks. Right? Right? If, Obi-Wan is, Ginsu's him and Sushi's his tail right away in that awful, 4th one, we have no problems. But how does Emperor Palpatine get into power? Jar Jar Binks says, oh my gosh, we're having a bunch of trouble. I think, Senator Palpatine should be dictator. It's a satire, or played out in fantasy, what happens right here. The only way to get power is by legal means. Strange twist of fate here. 3 other guys, when they're in prison, come up with the same idea that, man, their violent, attachments probably aren't the best way to accomplish their goals, and they choose to use their Jedi powers for good. One of them is named Mahatma Gandhi. The other one is named Martin Luther King. And the third guy is Nelson Mandela. They followed the lighted path. Hitler took a very dark, bizarre, weird turn in his time in prison. So, while he's in prison, Europe is beginning to stabilize. This is when Gustav Stressman is getting Germany back into the fold, and things look okay. But it is the Depression. All right, we have a confluence of factors. The Depression is the rocket fuel that will propel Hitler to power. As the Great Depression hits, the German economy grinds to a halt. And part of it is in their legislature, a thing known as the Reichstag. And in Germany, the government wrote in their constitution that if you lose your job, the German government will pay your salary until you get another job. Now, it's Germany. Everybody's hardworking and industrious, and if you're out of a job, you're not going to sit on your butt. You're going to go out and you're going to find another one. Well, the problem is right now there are no jobs. So they keep cranking out the marks and paying the unemployment insurance, and it's making the problem worse. And part of the people in the Reichstag say, no, we've got to stop this. We can only pay unemployment for a certain length of time. It can't go on constantly. And it does. So, in 1930, this is going to be key, we're going to kind of go 1928, 1930 here, back and forth a little bit. President Paul von Hindenburg, who's like 92 years old, says, okay, I'm going to use my powers as president to invoke Article 48. Article 48 of the German Constitution was written as an homage back to the German Republic, where when ancient Rome, if there was a crisis, the Senate could elect a dictator for 6 months who had unlimited power until the crisis was solved for a maximum of 6 months. The most famous of which is an old guy, retired senator named Cincinnatus, who saves the Roman army from French barbarians without shedding one drop of blood, comes home, gives up his power, and they find him plowing his field behind his mule. Cincinnatus, what are you doing, brother? You got like 5.5 more months of power, dude. You can have somebody plow the field for you. He said, no, it's not the way the law is written. I'm dictator until the crisis is solved for a maximum of 6 months. The army is safe, we're all back home, power goes back to the Senate. Nobody would do that, but Cincinnatus did. No one ever expects Article 48 to be used, but Hindenburg says, look, I got my man, an economist named Heinrich Brüning, all right? He's the Warren Buffett of his day. He's going to come in, he's going to wave his hands around and Albus Dumbledore, Expecto Patronum, and he's going to fix the economy. It's his job. And whatever Brüning does, it only makes... He had no chance, all right? It was going to take a long time to recover. The people wanted immediate results. So whatever Brüning does, unemployment goes from 1 million to 2 million, then from 2 million to 4 million, and Brüning gets fired. We just can't have this. And going on with all this, it's 1928, and Adolf Hitler gets out of prison. Adolf who? I don't even know who that is. Whatever. Kind of familiar, but I don't remember. And he looks around for, hey, it's me, I'm Adolf. I'm out. People are like, who the hell are you? Get out of my way. He's like, oh my gosh. I thought everybody knew who I was. And in 1928, the Nazi Party only has 12 seats in the German parliament out of 330. Right? They're like nobody. Like nobody even cares. And then Hitler gets out, and he finds his old cronies. Guys, what happened? Well, man, you idiot self went to prison, and you know, things are getting better, and like, well, no one really needed us. And he was like, well, man, we got to do something about that. And the Great Depression hits. And Hitler starts a-talking, and he starts a-talking. And pretty soon, the Nazis are back. By 1930, 2 years later, they go from 12 seats to 107. They've got a third of the German Reichstag. By 1932, they've got 230 seats. By far and away, a majority of the Reichstag are Nazis, all led by Adolf Hitler, who's now out of prison. The Depression sends almost 1 million young men, 900,000, into what was known as the Nazi Party, the stormtroopers. They were called the Boy Scouts. All right? They got like UPS brown pants, a tan shirt, a white pistol belt with a club, and they were going to learn how to drill and go out and tie knots and set up tents. They were a paramilitary organization. Legally, under the Treaty of Versailles, they were allowed to practice. And what they are thugs. They're sicked and loose on any rival political party. They're terrorized, they're intimidated, they're beaten up, they're even killed. When Hitler is out of prison, boom, the things take off. By 1932, he runs for president. Adolf, who? Running against Hindenburg. Hindenburg may be 1,000 years old, but my God, he's fought the Franco-Prussian War. He almost, won World War I. Hitler has no chance. And it's so close, there's a runoff. And Hindenburg is like, it's not good. All right, he wins, but just barely. He says, I got to get this Hitler guy on my cabinet. His popularity with the common man is intense. And the new chancellor is a guy named Franz von Papen. Franz, you go get Hitler in here. Von Papen goes to meet Hitler. Hey, Adolf, Prime Minister Hindenburg wants to know if you would like to be a member of his cabinet. Hitler says, no, I don't think so. Well, come on, man. You ran a good race, but you lost the election. No, I just really don't think I'm going to do it. Well, what can we offer you to get you to come in and hear President Hindenburg out? Well, I'll join under one condition. Great, name it. He's like, I want to be chancellor. Von Papen was like, well, you can't be chancellor because, well, that's my job. Hitler says, I know. I'm well aware of that. You resign, I'll take your job. No, you can't. I am. All right, well then fine. Whatever. And things continue for the rest of 1932, not getting any better. And then in January 30th, 1933, the world is shocked when President Paul von Hindenburg fires Franz von Papen and names Adolf Hitler the Chancellor of Germany. Hitler's wildest dreams have come true. Things are so bad, the president begged him, asked him, can you come in and become Chancellor? Legally, all horrible for the world, all German governmental services have to listen to Adolf Hitler. He's done it. He's gone from prison to being Chancellor of Germany. So, there are small pockets of resistance in the South. Catholic priests and bishops speak out. A couple of the priests are hung outside their churches. Churches are burnt down. Bishops disappear. And Catholics in the South drop their head and shut their mouth. In the northern part of Germany, all Lutheran territory, Lutheran pastors speak out. Their churches are burned. A few of them are hanged. And all of a sudden, people in the north drop their head and shut their mouth. 25% of the German people will join the Nazi Party. Doesn't make it any better. A lot of people they just put their head down and kept their mouths shut, and oh my God, if you don't come after me, then everything is going to be okay. And then in February, less than a month later, the Reichstag is lit on fire. Oh my God, who would do this? A couple blocks away, an old one-legged man is found with a torch in his hand, and he's shot and killed. And when his body is investigated, it turns out that he was a card-carrying member of the Dutch Communist Party. We got a stinking commie sneaking in here on one leg, lighting the fire to the Reichstag. Sure, the old man was shot and dumped there. And Hitler says, oh my God, the commies are coming. There's only one thing I can do to save us. I have to invoke Article 48 and take over as dictator. I got to declare martial law or else the communists will take over. So Hitler is now dictator of Germany. Month later, Paul von Hindenburg dies. He's literally like 95, 96 years old. And when that happens, Adolf Hitler is the sole political leader of Nazi Germany. Once he assumes that mantle, it will not be given up until May of 1945 with Adolf Hitler's death. It's done, it's over. By March, a month later, the Enabling Act is passed. And what the Enabling Act does was allow Hitler to rule by decree. Whatever he says now becomes a law. No vote, no discussion. It is how it is because he is dictator. By July 14th, the Nazi Party is the only political party allowed in Hitler's Germany. That's it. Done. So, let me get a quick drink here. So, here we go. Now we're ready. Anybody want to start a war? Not really, but okay. All right. So, all right. Hitler's done it. I can do whatever I want. I'm the only political party. So what Hitler always blamed was the Treaty of Versailles. You told me that I was a soldier, that I lost a war that I didn't lose. And I'm a war hero, by the way. I'm a war hero. So he wants Germany back. He wants the Sudetenland back. He wants Poland back. And he's going to get it. And you guys see the Christmas Story with Scott Farkas. Guy always beats up Ralphie in the alley. Well, Hitler is Scott Farkas. He is just bullying and beating up everybody. And the problem is nobody will stand up to him. All right? Scott Farkas only goes away when Ralphie beats the snot out of him. He runs away crying, I'm going to kill my dad, yeah, whatever, all right? Choke you with your little Daniel Boone, Davy Crockett hat, kid. All right? So anyway, Hitler wants to do this. So he's going to try and provoke people. And what makes Hitler so dangerous is that at the end, he really wants a war. So if people throw the Trump card down, well, if you do that, we'll go to war. He's like, okay, all right. So the sooner we get this on, the better. But he wants to provoke them while he starts to rapidly rebuild the German military. 1933, he withdraws from the International Disarmament Conference. People are like, why are you going to do that? Well, I'm going to build some tanks and I'm going to build some airplanes, the Luftwaffe. I'm going to get some soldiers. Well, you can't do that. Or what? Like, what are you going to do? Well, bully. I do not know. I will consult my British friends. I do not know, whatever. In America, we're like, dude, whatever. We're in the Great Depression. We really don't care. Just do your own thing. 1934, people are shocked when Hitler forms a non-aggression pact with Poland. Non-aggression pact works like this. Germany gets into a fight with, let's say, France. Poland promises not to jump in. Worst case scenario, they will not intervene. Best case scenario, they will join Germany in beating up France. France is like, what is this? It cannot be. Poland was specifically created to squeeze Germany. And now they're friends? What the pierogi is going on? We can't have this. All right, this is terrible. And France is like, Can be, oui, all right, I do not know. All right, okay, I don't know. This is bad. England, will you help us? No, America, whatever, man. Make fun of the president. We're over here being in our own little depression. So, anyway. All right. 1935, Hitler begins to draft soldiers. And he opens schools. He's looking for smart guys, coordinated guys who can be pilots. I'm going to build a mighty Luftwaffe. Fighters and bombers, the Messerschmitt, the Focke-Wulf, right? Medium-range bombers, fighter bombers, and man, we are going to let loose on the world. You guys got time for a side story? Sure. You guys doing all right? You want me to turn the lights? Everybody falling asleep? All right. Crazy side story here. Besides the colonel, anybody ever hear of Captain Billy Mitchell?
Sure.
All right, a couple people. All right. Captain Billy Mitchell is a World War I combat pilot. And after World War I, he comes back and says, hey, the next war is going to be decided in the fourth dimension. Oh, what are you talking about, fourth dimension? Air power is going to decide who the next victor is. Like, hey, Billy, shut up, dude. Like, little airplanes, Red Baron flying around with, little tri-wing airplane, whatever. Remember, Wilbur and Orville Wright flew down at Duck in 1903. 1914 planes are being used in the military capacity. And Billy's like, no, I'm telling you, if we develop air power, man, it's going to be incredible. Problem is, some powerful senators in the East Coast had just got a big fat contract with United States Steel to build a brand new fleet of naval destroyers. All right, a lot of steel, a lot of coal has to be mined. All right, steel's got to be made. There's fat contracts. Senators' pockets are getting fleeced. Philadelphia, Boston, Norfolk, you name it. And Billy's like, man, I'll blow a battleship up with one of my... Billy, you cannot blow up a... Yeah, I can. I bet I'll sink one in a half hour. They're like, there's no way. He says, yeah, you my fighter squadron, and we'll do it. Well, they bring an old German battleship into Philadelphia harbor, and Billy has 12 planes. He goes, I'm going to split my squadron into two. He goes, I can sink your boat without ever dropping a bomb on it. And they're like, Billy, shut up. It's like, okay. All the senators are there, the U.S. Steel guys are there, the Navy brass is there, and they start flying around, and Billy says, okay, when I drop a bomb on the front of the bow, I want you guys, as it starts to teeter back, time it up and drop a bomb just off the stern. Bombs drop, displaces the water, the bow goes down, the other half of the squadron is in the back, the stern goes down, fly back around, drop them in the front, and the trough is so deep the water washes over the front of the battleship, pushes it right to the bottom in 7 minutes. And everyone's like, oh. Billy's like, I told you, right? I told you. But man, this makes everybody look bad, all right? The steel contracts, the senators, congressmen, the shipbuilders, welders, coalmen, whoa, 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 whoa. We can't have that contract, null and voided, just can't do it. And they go, well, Billy, nobody was shooting at you. He's like, okay, then shoot at me. Well, we can't shoot at you. What if we hit you? Well, you won't, but if it'll make you feel better, I'll fly the plane myself. I'll drag a big target off the back, and I'll just fly around like I'm mowing grass. They get a couple old World War I, water-cooled machine guns, and they're firing away, and Billy's like, he flies for about an hour, and he lands. There are 3 bullet holes in the target, but none of them are in the bullseye. Shooting a moving target is very hard. Even a plane flying, let's say like 90 miles an hour, you're taught, shoot in an S and, time it up and make it fly through it. It's extremely hard. Billy's untouched. See, guys, I told you. And I go, Billy, we're going to reassign you to Texas. And he said, all right, you're out. You're gone. So Billy goes down to Texas where he's not allowed to fly planes, and he writes letters and screams and yells. They're like, Billy, open your mouth again, and we're going to consider it insubordination, conduct unbecoming of an officer, and we're going to court-martial you. You won't. And Billy keeps going, writing the president, this person, and that person. So Billy is court-martialed. He is drummed out of the army. He is dishonorably discharged. He is not given his pension. So naturally his wife and kids leave him, and he's an old, bitter guy, and he dies. But reading a lot of Billy Mitchell's theses on aerial warfare are guys in Germany. Like, oh man, that's pretty darn good. Oh man, that's pretty daggone good. And so as they begin to rearm and to rebuild, they're like, oh man, Billy Mitchell guy. So all of a sudden, in England, they start going, hey, Americans, can we talk to Billy Mitchell? What for? Well, he's got some great stuff. Oh, he does he? Unfortunately, he's dead. When it all plays out, the Americans, one of next week's one of other lectures, will make a bomber, the B-25 bomber, and they'll name it the Mitchell B-25 bomber. They reinstate him. His wife gets his pension. Doesn't really matter because Billy's dead. But anyway, so, all right, we're going to build some planes, and this is going to be awesome. We're going to draft soldiers for our Wehrmacht, for our war machine, and this is going to be great. When England and France saw this, they should have went berserk. The one country, Dries, this is for you, that says anything is Belgium, all right? Nobody listening, frites and, grand plots and, no offense there, friend, all right, yeah, some chocolate, all right. No, you guys got to look, whatever. Well, the last time you guys didn't do anything, they rolled up in here and they burned, the library, so keep your eye on the ball. England and France should have gone crazy, but they don't. Oh, well, just, let's go play some cricket and, it would go away. Except one guy in Parliament who nobody in Great Britain wants to hear from is saying, You probably should keep an eye on this Hitler. Winston, shut up. No, I'm being serious. Oh, yeah, we know. All right. Have another drink there, Sir Winston. All right. Churchill's going, no, listen, look, listen to Belgium. That Hitler guy, don't trust him. Oh, you're an old crazy washed up drunk. Just shut up and go write another article on the Boer Wars, whatever you do. Whatever. So